Live from the Mirrorball studio in Royal Berkshire, this is Chris Reardon.
And a very good morning to you. It's a Monday morning, just after 12 o'clock. Welcome along to the Midnight Phone-In. My name's Chris Reardon, and we have a little phone number for you to call in tonight. Thank you very much to, what was the bloke's name before me? Oh, I'm so sorry. I can't remember. He forgot my name earlier. Did you hear that? How rude. How rude to forget my name. Thanks very much, mate. Mark, thanks. For his love songs earlier. I must say you've got a lovely soft voice for sort of night times. Do you know what I mean? My friend Dan C, I recommended to him that he could perhaps try a nighttime show. When you got that like calming voice and it's not too excited. Wonderful for nighttime. Thank you, Mark. Bit chilly tonight, you may have noticed. I must say the first time for months and months I'm sitting here with a jumper on tonight. Hope you're well. And you can call in instantaneously. The phone line is open. You can call in about anything you want to fancy to having a chat around. Okay? All I ask is that you make sure you send your number. I don't answer withheld numbers or blocked numbers. What tends to happen is that people just put the phone down. So we abandon that. You must send your phone number. So, just dial the number. Don't withhold it. And that's about it, really. No swearing, nothing like that. If you swear, you get blocked instantly. You might get one in. If you're very lucky, you might get one swear in. After that, you'll never be able to do it again, okay? So anything you want to call in about, the phone line is open. It's 020 8144 3477. 020 8144 3477. There's only one phone line, okay? So if you try and ring and it's engaged, it means I'm already talking to someone. Just, by the way, I've got a bit of a dodgy throat tonight as well, just to warn you. Yes, if you get engaged, it means I'm already talking to someone. Like now. Hello, who's on the line, please?
Hiya, Chris. It's Dave, DJ legend Dave Squires.
It's Dave Squires. Good evening, Dave. Nice to talk to you.
Hello, Chris. Are you okay?
Yeah, you're another one of those with like that late night voice. If you see what I mean. I don't think I could do a music show late at night.
Why is that?
No, I'm a little bit too up with the voice, aren't I? You want a voice that sounds like, hello, everyone, and welcome to Reach On Air. It's Sunday night, and I've got some love songs to play for you tonight. I think certain voices fit different times of the day, don't you reckon?
I've got a voice for the radio, there,
A voice for the radio and a face for the telly, eh? Is that what they say? No, you got a face for the radio. That's what they say, isn't it, Dave?
Yeah. So have you had a nice weekend, Chris?
Yes, thank you very much. Both karaoke nights were nice and busy. The drive in and out of London was okay. It's getting a little bit long driving in again at the moment. We're back up to 2 hours almost again. Don't know why that's happening. Sometimes it drops back to almost an hour and a half. The good news is, I don't know if you've ever heard me talking about the Euston Underpass, where they restricted that to one lane. That was straight after. They must have put it in during the pandemic, which was a real bottleneck going through that part of London. But they opened it up again to 2 lanes, which for 2 weeks worked, and then it's filled up again. So you can't win, really, Dave. What about you? Have you had a nice weekend?
Just been up at my dad's. Sorted his shed out today and fixed all that up. Because it was coming away, so nailed it all back together, so it's all intact again.
Are you quite good at the DIY, are you?
Do you know what? Because obviously you know my dad, Phil, don't you?
Yes.
Well, since my dad's been ill, I've started. I always relied on my dad. My dad done everything for me.
Right.
But now tables have turned where I'm doing everything for my dad, and when I come home, if I need something doing, I'll do it myself.
Right, okay. So you're kind of forced into it.
I don't want to be phoning like tradesmen up to come and do it when if I should have a go myself, and I'm going to save money, aren't I?
Yeah. Well, it's all about saving money at the moment. I just wish I could do this DIY stuff, but you sound like you've been sort of you're doing it because you've got to. Would I be right there in saying that? Yeah, that's fair enough. Fair enough. What did you have to do today?
All I was doing today was empty the shed out, and
Right.
I put a new rack system in and built the rack with my dad and put that in. And
Oh, well done. Yeah, well done to you.
So I done quite a bit today, got through quite a bit. We've
Yeah.
been wanting to do it since summer, but
Good.
things were just going behind us and putting us back, so
Brilliant. Well,
finally done it today.
I've now taken a note of your number for when I want my extension and swimming pool built in the garden. I look forward to you. Mate's race, of course. I hope it's no more than £10 an hour. I'm happy to pay 11 if I have to.
So yeah, I'm. It's nice to have you on at midnight doing the radio. So I listened last week to, what's the lady called?
Vera.
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 It, yeah.
Vera. Yeah. Talking about the Queen.
Yeah, that was a nice. I was listening right through. That was really nice. I was going to phone when you said I've got 2 minutes, and thought,
yes,
no, I won't be on 2 minutes. So I thought I'll ring you when you first come on.
Brilliant. I mean, I've always wanted to do like a nighttime phone-in thing, and as you know, we do the YouTube show, and for a year I tried to do it on there. The problem is it's the chat box. I introduced a chat box years ago now, and it's never really gone the way I sort of expected it to go. And what tends to happen there is that people talk to each other in the chat box. So you'll come up with something, I don't know, what have I got on my list today? You know, where did you grow up? That's the sort of thing I've written down in front of me today. And they will start talking to each other about where they used to grow up, and no one's calling in.
Yeah.
And the thing is, with Reach, of course, there's no chat box. Although what I now do is upload the audio of this to the YouTube for those people that there's a couple of people that can't listen to Reach on it. Believe it or not, they have no internet, but their Virgin television supplier, Maureen's one of them, the Virgin media thing where they get their TV from, they can get YouTube. Yeah,
all right.
So they can listen to it on YouTube, even though they don't really have any internet in the house, like a web browser or anything like that. So I upload it to there. It's a reasonable idea.
So do you know when you were just talking? Sorry, Chris.
Go on, mate.
I
Yeah.
interrupted then.
No.
When you were talking, like you're doing your chat show now, and we're talking via phone.
Yes.
Because I've got a Denon mixer. So because I've always thought with me peaceful hour of if someone wants to phone in and request a song via phone in and they speak through Reach, it goes over the platform. But I've always wanted to know how I'd go along doing that, because I'm on an iPhone.
Oh, right.
Would my telephone have to be connected to it, or would it have to be the house phone?
Well, I've got a Skype number. This is a Skype number. It's not a phone number. So you know Skype?
I've not used Skype, no.
It's a bit like the old MSN Messenger, but much better. And one of the things with Skype is that you can buy a phone number. And this phone number can be in many different places of the world. You select where you want it. I've chosen London, and you get a normal local. This is just a normal local London number, like calling one of your mates in London, and it basically comes up on the Skype. So, so the audio from the Skype comes into your audio if you've got a standalone fader. The trouble is, we're trying to explain stuff to other people on Reach, is that everyone has a completely different setup.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Now, mine is mine is analog, I would say that. It's analog. There's no flashing mixer or anything like that. But what I've got works for me. You have to decide what works for you. So what I would do if you wanted to try it, do you have a standalone mixer, or is it just a computer?
I've got a mixer. It's a proper DJ one.
So your audio...
I don't know whether you've ever seen, Swishy?
Yes.
Well, I got the same machine as he's got, the mixer.
Oh, you see, I don't know.
Yeah.
But presumably you've got all your sound coming out of your computer into your mixer, and then back into the computer.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you could probably do it then with Skype. What I'd do is get a Skype account.
Yeah.
Okay, sign up for that. Don't get the phone number. You'll find someone else who's got Skype, and then maybe try and take a call with Skype. If you can take a call with Skype and they can hear you and you can hear them, then you could get a phone number if you wanted. But is it worth doing? Unless you're doing a phone-in show, is it really worth doing it? Because you can find there's no calls.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
All right then, Dave?
All right, I'll leave you to it, Chris, and have a great show, mate.
Thank you very much for calling, Dave. And he's back on
take care.
tomorrow at 11 o'clock. You're on, aren't you?
11 o'clock tomorrow morning.
11 o'clock tomorrow morning, all the way from Liverpool. Thank you, Dave. Cheerio.
Thanks, Chris. Bye.
Bye now. 02081443477 is my phone-in number. You talk about anything at all, I'll give you some subjects as well. Let me just read out some of these lovely messages here from Vera. She's with us. Vera from Vera's Choice in the Morning is with us this morning. Good morning, Vera. Up late and up early as well, just like me. Fantastic. Mark J and Natalie says, thanks for the mention, Chris. Going to listen to the show under the covers. Yes, no farting under the covers tonight. Isn't that vile when people do that? Oh, my God. Isn't it odd? Isn't it odd that it's not so bad if it's your own? Why is that? I mean, although I must admit, occasionally I've done the odd one. Throwing up under the sheets, aren't you? Why is that? And Mark J wants to know, when is it wise to turn on the heating? Not till January, mate. Are you for real? Turn on the heating? Good God. You just said you're in bed. Why on earth do you need the heating on? Get your head under the covers. Hot water bottles, highly recommended. Do you know what's really cheap to run? Electric blankets. They are hideously cheap to run. I'm telling you that now. Really cheap. I've got one down at the caravan, or up at the caravan. Sorry, the Luxury Waterside Media Centre. I have one up there. And it sat on a shelf for 2 years and I didn't use it. And then when I went back to the caravan after the winter break, which was in February, March, April. It was in April. It was particularly, I got in there, and what tends to happen if you haven't been there for a long time and it's been cold, things are damp, including the top of the bed. All right? And I got in this bed. Oh, it was really unpleasant. I don't know if it's probably the only time I've ever got into a damp bed. It was gross. And you lie there, you think, oh, I'll warm up in a minute. No, you don't. You don't warm up. And eventually I got up and I remembered I had an electric blanket, which is probably the worst thing you can do, because damp, wet water could have electrocuted myself, could I? But I put it on there. Did I do it that? No, I didn't do it that night. That's a lie. Bless me, Father, I have sinned. I've just told a lie. What I did is I put up with it that night, and in the morning I put this electric blanket on and turned it on to air the bed. Okay, and that worked perfectly well. But I left the electric blanket on, and that night I turned the electric blanket on like 10 minutes before I got into bed, and you pull the covers over. And I pulled back the covers and I got in. Oh my God, it was just it was luxury. It was luxury. They are really cheap to run, electric blankets, Mark J. Go and buy one immediately. Yes. Good evening to Omar. Is one of our karaoke watchers. Evening, Omar, who says, hi, Chris, this show is great for me as I do night work, so my sleep pattern is all over the place. Do you do shifts? So, like, sometimes you're working at night time and other times you're working during the day. I'd hate that. I'd have to do one or the other. I think when you're doing shifts, you never get used to something, do you? You're always doing... Like, you're always trying to catch up on sleep at one end or the other. Yeah, 020-8144-3477 is my phone-in number. By the way, you can send a text as well if you're listening on the smart speaker and you can't use the Reach on Air message system. There's a text number. Remember, these two numbers are very different, okay? So once again, phone number for calling in, 020-8144-3477. And the texting number is 07451 287 337. The texting number 07451 287 337. All right. Got to say hello to Glenda. Evening, Glenda. She's in America. Good evening, Glenda, who says, hi, Chris. Hope you're doing well. Things in Pennsylvania are going great. Excellent. Are you into autumn now, I presume, aren't you? Autumn time now, isn't it, in Pennsylvania? We've, I would say it's probably the coldest tonight it's been so far, but it's not freezing cold. You know, I don't know what the temperature is. Shall we ask the lady? Just a minute. Alexa, what's the temperature? 11 degrees. 11 degrees outside, maybe a little bit of rain later, just to keeping you fully informed of the weather activities here, Glenda. Thank you very much. I hope you continue the weekly chat show, sending you love and well wishes. As in the video show, yes, that's still on Wednesday night at 8 o'clock. Okay, the YouTube show, which you can find by going to unitedkingdomtalk.co.uk, is on Wednesday nights at 8 o'clock. That's a video show. And this week, actually, he'll be calling in. We're going to be talking to an ex-BBC engineer who actually does a show here on Reach On Air on Sunday afternoons. Mark Stevens will be calling in on Wednesday night, around about 10 past 8, I think he's going to call in, and we're going to be talking about his time at the BBC. You will be able to ask questions only by text. We don't take phone calls on Wednesday night, okay, because it didn't really work out. But he'll be calling in, and if you've got anything to ask about the BBC, feel free. BBC man, ex-technical engineer Mark Stevens on unitedkingdomtalk.co.uk on Wednesday night at 8 o'clock, all right? Dan C is there. Good evening to Dan. Lovely hearing your voice. Yours too, Dan. Lovely hearing your little show. He's back on Reach On Air on Tuesday morning at 10 o'clock. And Omar says, I always do nights. Oh, but that's not so bad then, Omar. At least you're in some sort of routine. Some sort of routine. He does 12-hour shifts, 4 on and 4 off, unless one of the day shifts are on holiday. Concierge work. Are you in like a block of flats? I had a friend who did that, Omar. Darren was his name. And he was in one of the blocks of flats on sort of around Borough. You know Borough in London? They've got these really posh flats. I mean, you and I could never afford one. Well, I'd have to sell everything just to have that, you know. And they have a concierge. Some of them have gyms. Some of them have a little swimming pool in, all glass and all that. And his job was to sit on the desk at the front. They had a 24-hour concierge. So anyone who'd come in, he basically said, yeah, good evening to you, and already that. And he said it used to really annoy him when people would ring down at 3 o'clock in the morning and ask if they had any parcels. I mean, come on. Why do you need your parcel at 3 o'clock in the morning? And he had all these stories he used to tell me. Yeah, ladies and boys of the night used to visit. He said you always knew where they were going because they always went to the same places. Dreadful, isn't it? Okay, let's give you some questions to chat about tonight if you want to. You can stop me at any time by calling in, okay? My call-in number is 020 8144 3477. 020 8144 3477. Where did you grow up? There's a question. Tell me about where you grew up. Whereabouts was it? Tell me about the school you went to. Generally, what was the area like? Were you in the town, city, country? Where did you grow up from? I grew up in 2 places. Up to 1969, we're in Peckham. Omar's just messaged in again. Yes, he's in one of those 240 flats. I get that about the parcels and escorts. Obviously not the name of the road, but what sort of area are you in, Omar? Whereabouts are you, sir? Are you actually in London or one of the other cities, somewhere like that? I grew up in London, yes. Peckham first, until 1969. And it was all right. We lived in a little flat. I think it was a 2-bedroom flat? I was adopted, actually. And That's the first place I know. And I always remember one day going from there and picking up my sister, and that's when my sister was adopted. We do a whole show on that at some point. Who's calling in, please? Hello.
Good evening, Chris.
Hi, it's
How are
Dan
you?
C. Good evening, Dan C. From Dan C
Good
in the
evening.
morning. Reach on air.
How is everybody this evening?
We're all right. What are you calling in about tonight? Do tell us.
Well, I thought I'd call in regarding where I grew up. So obviously, I now reside in the glittering studios in the Royal Borough, but
Yes.
I originally grew up in Kent, in a seaside town called Whitstable, if you know it.
Oh, Whitstable. Do you know my accountant used to live there? I think his mother still lives there. Yeah, he moved from Whitstable to Scotland.
Yes, it's also known as God's Waiting Room.
Oh, is it really? Is a lot of the grey hairs there? Are they waiting for the
Indeed,
box?
most
Do you think you're far from there at all, or what? The box, that is.
Well, I must say it's incredibly expensive. The last time, obviously, we were
Is
just
it
talking
now?
about obviously expensive places to live and grow up.
Let's have a look here. Right move.
Whitstable is probably around 2-bed on the seafront. You probably wouldn't get much change out of $1 million.
Wow. Let's have a look. Whitstable. I'm typing in Whitstable. Oh, Rotherham. Whitstable, Rotherham. That sounds a bit dodgy. No, hang on a minute. Whitstable.
Kent.
Come on, what's going on with this? There we are.
The Garden
WH.
of England.
Anyway, you carry on talking and I'll have a look at... There it is, Whitstable, Kent.
Absolutely. So yes, I grew up in Kent and moved, like many people. Sadly, obviously, seaside towns for many years have been underinvested, and moved to London or the Royal Berkshire because sadly I am, and also with all blessings, do not intend to pay silly money just to live in the city of London with the noise all constantly, all day, every day.
Why would you want to? Why would you want to? There's a what's this here? There's a beach up there. £40,000 for a beach hut. Jeez, £40,000 for a beach hut.
And the rules are for the beach huts, you are not allowed to stay in them overnight. They have no fresh running water. I had one for several years, my family. I think we inherited it. And you actually end up paying rates on it as well, like many things. The council don't
Is that right?
miss a trick.
They don't have water, though, in them, do they?
No, they have no running water or toilets, and most of the seafront actually doesn't have toilets.
Right.
So depending on which beach hut end you are, you can either be within luck or none, and have to walk about 20 minutes.
Right.
So in all honesty, if that is only 40,000, I'm going to guess it's actually a little bit away from the toilets. So the seafront is split into numerous sections. You have Sea Salter, you have Whitstable Harbour area, and then you have Tankton. All part of Whitstable, but they're kind of divided into sub-areas.
Tell me, what's Sea Salter like? Because I've just found a flat there. Looks like a council estate. 120,000 for that. That's in Sea Salter.
It depends, obviously, where in Sea Salter.
Yeah,
obviously, like everywhere, it has its good bits and bad bits.
It's a box. It's not somewhere...
It probably is a box.
Yeah. And then the next one after that is 165. That's on Canterbury Road. That
would be
looks
quite
a bit
noisy and busy.
Yeah, there's no garden.
If you want to look somewhere nice, the best way to look is Seaview, Middle Wall, Whitstable. They will be right on the beach.
And they're the really dear ones, are they? Wow.
They are incredibly dear. I think the last one sold along there was over £1 million. There are some currently. Originally, there's a family notorious in Kent that own a lot of Whitstable, and they own parts of the beach known as the Green family.
All right.
They own the Hotel Continental and other places there. And to give you an idea, they're fishermen's sea huts they rent out for when we have the Whitstable Oyster Festival, the regatta, and other things, I think are about £575 a night.
Oh, it's a lot of money, isn't it? Yeah, a lot of money.
So it kind of gives you an idea that they definitely picked the right career.
Oh yeah. Did you enjoy?
We did something wrong, Chris.
Did you like working? Did you like living there though?
It was very peaceful, I would say. So I'm asthmatic, and I would say absolutely the air quality is better by the sea.
Right.
So you do feel fresher. When you take in a breath, you feel like you're getting a full lungful rather than kind of half, as it were.
Yeah.
And obviously pollution's a lot less as well, which is obviously a major point, especially for even those without asthma do notice it over time.
Right.
We actually had a gentleman living down the road who lived in London all his life as a motorbike delivery man back in the day, and because he was so long breathing in the fumes, he had to live on oxygen.
Oh dear. Yeah.
So it does prove, there is something to be said for good, wholesome, fresh air.
Yeah. I'm just looking at a place we used to go on holiday to, Brocklesham Bay. I don't know if you know that at all. That's in.
I don't actually know.
That's in Sussex, sort of Chichester, and then you go further, and that's a little. What's this? 3-bedroom flat here overlooking the sea, 430,000. Wow. And it's only a flat. And of course, on top of that, you'd have like all the service charges and stuff like that, you see. That can be quite expensive to have. But it was nice to live there. You enjoyed living there. Would you go back there or not?
I would. Obviously, my family are down there. I grew up down there. The only issue is employment, really, unless... I suppose you own your own business, you're in teaching or something along those professions of perhaps catering, then you may do well. But if you're looking for a professional career and a career, it's not really where you want to go.
Right, okay.
Because there's been no investment for so many years.
Vera wants to know if you like oysters. I don't know why she was. What's that about?
I do.
Is that something, is it?
Whitstable is famous for its oysters.
Right, okay.
They're a shellfish.
Yeah, okay.
And I can take it or leave it. They're not my favourite of all the seafood.
I can't.
I do most certainly prefer a whelk or, like most gay men, a winkle.
Oh, how awful. You sit there picking that thing out of a shell. And oysters...
Oh, no, they do it for you, dear.
Oysters, it must be like blooming eating snot. It just looks vile.
It is actually.
And
you normally have it with shallots and vinegar.
Are you supposed to swallow it straight down? I've seen them do that on James Bond.
Dear. It is an aphrodisiac.
Well, that's neither here nor there. I mean, eating the blooming things just must be awful. They kind of had this little shell and then it's swallowed down. Oh no, I can't be having any of that. I'm afraid. Awful.
No, and there are actually different tastes to different types of oysters.
Right.
You can get them in various different sizes, which until recently, even though I grew up by the seaside and my family actually have a tradition every Boxing Day, my mother does a buffet, and it's a seafood buffet with crab, lobster, you name it, homemade, honey glazed ham, obviously not all just seafood, but a whole range of seafood, and it's been something we've done since I was little, and obviously it comes straight in the boat, into the harbour and into your house, so it is lovely and fresh.
Well, you should go and fish it out yourself, dear. Get yourself a little line there.
I did used to fish. I used to fish with Canterbury District Angling Association.
Okay.
And it was really good, except obviously, sometimes you don't catch anything, sometimes you do. Coarse fishing I preferred than sea fishing, because sea fishing you do get very cold.
I should think you do.
Most of the time you have to do it at night.
And it's rough, and it's sometimes... when you see them fishermen go out on those tiny little boats, and these boats are being chucked around all over the place, aren't they?
Definitely. You can do it from the beach shore, and that's primarily what me and my father did.
Yeah.
But obviously you would have to, cast out, and you're not always, obviously, unlike coarse fishing, where you know there's fish in the pond and you know kind of roughly where they are, and you're kind of in an 8-hour stint probably going to at least get something. Sea fishing, there's no guarantee at all. I think the most thing I've ever caught is a sea bream.
A what?
A sea bream.
What's that then?
A type of fish.
Is that a little or bit? I know nothing about fishing at all.
I think about two pounds, about 4 or 5 inches.
Okay.
In size.
Yeah.
That's a small size, and they can get bigger than that.
Right.
My father's caught a shark though before now, not obviously a great white.
Oh my!
He has caught a shark.
Yeah.
One of the other things you can catch is eels, or sea eels. They are something particularly I do never want to catch because I'm terrified of snakes.
Oh, they're horrible blooming things, eels. I remember being on an island in the Pacific, isn't it, in Australia, Norfolk Island, and I was in the water there, right? And there was this big event. It's a tiny little island, and when they have events, everyone tends to go who lives on the island. And they were having this event on in a bay, in one of the bays. I can't remember the name of the bay now. But once a year they have this event, and they set light to a boat, right? And the reason they set light to the boat, it's to celebrate the Pitcairn Island or something. I don't know. People were put on there or whatever. Anyway, and I was saying to some of the kids there, because I went over, my nephew, my cousin was running the police on there. It's a very, very small amount of police people, but he was running it there. And he said, would you do a disco for us, for the kids and that? I said, yeah, I'd be happy to do that. I said, but I won't know who they are. He said, no, it'd be a big thing for them because you've come from the UK all that way. I said, yeah, okay. So I did this. And I was talking to some of them on the beach at this event. And I asked them about sharks. And I saw some of them swimming quite far out into the Pacific. That's the water bit around there. And I said, don't you worry about sharks. No, they don't come near us. I said, don't they? They said, no. The only thing they're interested in, generally, is things that are already dead and floating around. And I didn't know that. If you're not bleeding or anything like that, they said they're not interested. I never knew that. He said sometimes you can see them swimming around our legs. I mean, obviously not the great big things. It's not. Well, I suppose it would. I suppose it could be. Really, I didn't.
Yes, it's not Jaws.
No. Well, I wouldn't go too far in there. You see, I was frightened I was going to be eaten by a shark. be a big meal, I tell you. Be a big meal.
Well, especially lately, as we've heard.
Yes. Well, don't worry. I've been on my diet for 3 days now. I basically replaced one of my meals with vegetable soup or minestrone soup, one of those two, and a packet of lentil crisps from Aldi. They're only small. And I will be weighing first tomorrow. After swimming, I'll be having a little weigh tomorrow to see how it's doing. I hope to have lost something. I was 13 stone 9.6 on Thursday or Friday when I started it. It was Thursday. Well, I started it Thursday. I was 13.9.6, so we'll see what we are tomorrow. I might be even brave and weigh myself before tomorrow morning's show.
You'll have to let us know on the show the positive results.
I will. Thanks for calling in today, Dan.
Thank you for having me. It's always a pleasure.
Cheerio.
See you soon. Bye-bye.
There we are, Dan. He's on the radio on Tuesday morning at 10 o'clock, okay? 0208 144 3477 is my local London call-in number. Mark, Natalie say, we grew up in sunny North Wales and moved back with Natalie 6 years ago after living in Oxford. That's quite an expensive area as well, isn't it, Oxford? Me and my mate, we went down to the outlet centre there in Bicester. I always called it Bicester. It's Bicester, isn't it? They've got this big outlet centre where the clothes are much cheaper there than they are in the shops in London. You know, the label clothes Ralph Lauren and all that business. Natalie is a Steel City lass. She hails from Sheffield. I've got a lovely pair of her scissors. Perhaps she made them personally, did you, Natalie? Is it you who sits up there making all those little bits of metal sharp? How'd you do that, my love? Have you got a stone? She sits in there in that factory with bits of metal, making all our scissors, don't you, darling? She says, don't call her a blade. That's the name for a Sheffield United fan. She's an owl. Dwoo, dwit, dwoo. A Sheffield Wednesday fan. I know nothing about football, I'm afraid. As for schools, I went to a Welsh medium primary and secondary school up to year 9 when my mum and I finished my education in an English medium school. I don't know what a medium school is. Is that a new word? Do you know what that is, Vera? A medium school. What's that? We have primary schools and secondary schools when I used to go. Anyway, yes, he finished his education in an English medium school. Natalie went to a specialist school for disabilities in Sheffield, where they taught them NAFL. Thank you, Mark. And Omar lived in Leighton. He was born and raised in Walthamstow, but he's half Scottish and half Egyptian. Thank you very much. Never been to Egypt. My niece has been to Egypt. I'll tell you what I've seen, Omar, on the what do you call it, on the YouTube there. There's a bloke who goes to different countries and says, what to go and look at and all this business. Funnily enough, my mate and me watched one this afternoon, actually, about the Canadian Rocky Road Mountaineer Railway. Oh, it's fantastic. You're on this train for like 48 hours and they just keep feeding you. And honestly, the countryside and all these trees and lakes and all that you see, they put you up in a hotel. You don't stay on the train. I'd quite like to stay on the train, while it was moving. You kind of have a slight rock backwards and forwards, don't you? A bit like being on a boat. I went on a cruise once. That was quite nice. Me and my mate went on a cruise. We had a bit of a row on there, so I came back early. But that was nice. And now and again, you got a bit of rough weather, and this boat was going forwards and backwards. Oh, it's dreadful. When you first get on there and it takes off, you think you're going to be all right, but you very quickly get seasick without realising that you were going to get seasick, if you see what I mean. But you go down to the sick bay, you say, oh, I feel really ill. Take that, you'll be fine in 20 minutes, and you are. I don't know how that works. And you don't have to take another one. That's it. Weird, isn't it? You take this one pill when you start feeling, oh God, blood. Yeah. Don't put up with it. You just go straight down to sick bay. Gives you one pill, right? It clears up in about 20 minutes. It stops and it doesn't come back again. Even when you've got off the boat at various different places to have a look around. Highly recommend. And they just keep eating. Oh, my Lord. You need to lose about half your body weight before you ever get on a cruise. I'm telling you that now. Because, my God, do you put it on. Ever been on a cruise? Tell me. 020-8144-3477 is my phone-in number. Vera doesn't know what it is. No, me neither, Vera. And she wants to know, do I know Omar? Do you know Vera from Vera's Choice in the Morning, Omar? I was talking about Egypt as well, wasn't I? I've watched this thing on the telly, this bloke who goes around to different places. And he's done Egypt, and he said about the pyramids, and people are trying to sort of rip you off on the pyramids all the time, and people pretending to be policemen, and they don't leave you alone. And I watched this particular video that he'd done. Let me just get myself a little bit more comfortable. I watched this video he'd done. It was so annoying. This bloke with a camel, he just wouldn't leave him. No, I don't want to go on your camel, mate. And they follow you and they badger you. See, that's not my idea of a fun holiday. To be honest, it was happening a bit in where we went to Barbados with a different mate back in 1990. Gosh, I think it was 1999, 98, somewhere around there. I went to Barbados and we were on the beach there, and these blokes kept trying to sell us drugs, actually. On the beach, drugs and coconuts, and women. You want a woman to? No, it's fine, mate. We're fine. Honestly, we're fine. I can go up and get you a coconut. No, I don't want a coconut. Thank you very much. Oh, and they badge you. And I hate that on holiday. Don't you? Happens in a lot of places. An awful lot of places. It never happened to me in Australia, America, or Israel, any of those places. It just didn't happen. But a lot of places, they badge you all the time. Mark J says, the term medium and Welsh education defines whether a school is English-speaking or Welsh-speaking and whether the lessons are delivered in Welsh or English. Thank you. Omar says, Vera, he saw you at the karaoke. Did you know that, Vera?
No.
Yeah, he saw you. He was sitting at a table near the door.
He's at a table near the door.
And he says you was a good singer.
Oh, thank you.
Mean, we beg to differ there, to be honest, Omar, but carry on. Huh? Sorry?
It's a small world. It's a small world.
La, 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 la. My mate, because I keep playing him the clip of you doing the Lion Sleeps Tonight noises. He thinks you're totally mad. Go on, do some now. I'll do the song and you do the noises. Go. In the jungle, the mighty jungle, the lion sleeps tonight. I love la 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 la. Can you do the crickets? The crickets. Can you do the crickets?
I can't do cricket.
Crickets. I wonder if I can find a cricket sound effect somewhere in my sound effects library. I'll have a little look at it.
Well, if you get two crusty feet and rub them together, I'm sure they can make cricket noises.
I have not got crusty feet, I love you. Know. How rude are you? Crickets. Let's have a look. Crickets. Yeah, we got crickets chirping. Here we go. Hang on a minute. Let's get crickets chirping. Oh, 3 minutes of this. We can. Can you hear that?
Just about, yeah.
Well, yeah. What's this one? There's another one here. We got different ones. Oh yeah, they're different. It they must mean different things. The different sort of tones of their chirping, isn't it?
Well, if they're trying to home in on other crickets, I suppose.
Yeah,
so,
I suppose so.
They don't mean anything to human beings.
No. Well, unless you can speak several languages, there are people out there that can speak tons of languages. Do you speak anything else, Vera?
I can speak English badly if I want to.
Yes.
No, I don't speak any other languages. I just about cope with English, thank you very much.
Got to say good morning to DJ Swishy, who says it's weird you're on after midnight. Yeah, it is a bit weird, but something I've always wanted to do, a midnight phone-in, and it's going all right. We've got one more next week, and then that's the 4 weeks are up. After that, I've got a couple of weeks holiday either, and I'll have a little rethink to see if we want to do it again. Anyway, carry on, Vera. Why have you rung in tonight, my gorgeous one?
I would just talk about schools, actually.
Oh, yeah.
Because you and I'm only, 2 years older than you, so we obviously grew up and went to 3 different schools. I mean, I was born in Walthamstow and went to schools in Leytonstone. And
how did you do that? Is that walkable or bus or what?
Oh, none of my schools were... I couldn't get to my school by bus. It was all walking distance.
Excuse me.
From where I lived, I used to live on Grove Green Road in Leytonstone.
Okay.
And I went to the infant school in Mayville, which was in Leytonstone, and that was a trek and a half to get there.
Was it? Right.
It's a long walk. So the nearest area would be Leyton Station, but I was on the border of Leytonstone.
Right.
So the school I went to, Mayville School, was just off Leytonstone High Road. So that's a fair trek in the morning. So my sister, who was 8 years older than me, used to take me to school, and they thought that she was my mum. That was quite funny.
How old was she?
She was 8 years older than me.
8? Oh, so how old are we talking here then?
I was about, 4? I started school when I was 4.
4, and she was 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and she was 12?
Well, she was quite tall for 12.
And they thought she was your mum?
Yeah. Well, you know what kids are like when they're 4 years old.
Yeah, I suppose so, yeah. Go on.
And because I was even though I'm the youngest in the family, but I was the oldest kid in the school in relation to their family, because they would be the eldest in their family, whereas I was the youngest. So any form of trouble, I would always say I'd get my big brothers and sisters onto them, and I had got big brothers and sisters, and whereas they had little brothers and sisters. So in that respect, with bullying, they left me alone. They didn't want to bully me in that way because I had big brothers and sisters.
Good.
But they all were born in Jamaica, whereas I was born here, so I'm the outsider. I always say to them, if they don't behave themselves, I'll call immigration on them.
Call immigration. Immigration can help you. Pretty will have them straight out that door, my love. Pretty? Oh, she's not doing it anymore, is she?
No, I know.
Pretty, where have you gone, love?
She's probably gone to Rwanda.
She's got a rubber dinging and gone somewhere else. She's nicked one of the rubber dingers. What do they do with all those rubber dingers? Do they just destroy them? What a terrible waste. Oh, there's so much waste in this world, isn't there? It's like those tents. You know those tents that they have at Glastonbury and place like that? The trouble is they're so cheap. These kids, they buy them, stick them up, eat, drink and whatever else it is they do in tents at night time. And then they literally walk up and go home. And they don't take them down. And they get destroyed. I mean, it's just such a terrible waste. They could be sent to people who haven't got places, you know, like in other countries where they're very poor and they've shanty towns and things like that. They could send those tents over there, couldn't they?
Yeah,
give them a bit of a...
But could you imagine what they've done in those tents? You wouldn't want to take anything.
Well, it depends what they look...
anywhere afterwards.
Depends what they look like.
Well, if you go to Glastonbury, you should probably know what it's like.
Oh, sleeping in your own sick. How awful is that?
Exactly.
Omar says he used to live in Grove Green Road.
I used to live in Grove Green Road.
Do you still live there now, Vera? You don't live there now?
I moved away about 30-odd years ago. I used to live at 86 Grove Green Road.
86?
Not far from the Northcote pub.
And you moved away when?
Arms. And then I moved to Woodford Green.
What year was that?
Oh, I don't know. I can't remember. 1980-something. Right. 1990-something. 96, I think.
96. So, Omar, she was at number 86 until 96. He might have lived opposite you. He was probably that one who was looking out of his window for the gaps in the curtains at you, my love, when you were changing. You know what some of these young lads are like?
Stalking me, and I hadn't realised it over the years. Followed me around from Leytonstone to Walthamstow.
Oh, dear. Did you like this?
And to Central Station as well. He's following me everywhere.
He's following you, my love. Yes. Did you like your school?
Well, at the age of 4, I mean, I was the only black person in the whole entire school.
Oh, yes. That was in the 60s, wasn't it? Yeah, of course. Yeah, it would be, yeah.
And
was that a problem, yeah?
It was a problem because, like most parents, my mother and father taught me how to read and write, and they didn't particularly like that in that school, so I was outcast as the troublemaker because I could read and write.
And they couldn't?
And I spent most of my school life growing up sitting by myself reading a book because, I was discriminated for that.
And the racism?
Oh, very much so.
Yeah.
Yes. It was quite harsh growing up.
So you left school 77?
78.
78 you left school?
Yeah, I was 17 when I left. I stayed on to the sixth form.
By the time we got to 78, had you seen improvement in the racism or not really?
Not really. Not really. It's either make or break. You have to... it's hard to say. You either have to turn the other cheek and get on with life. You can't keep fighting people along the way because it would just be traumatic after a while. It would
destroy you, wouldn't it? Yeah.
It would.
I wonder what it's like now if you go in that school now. I bet that racism doesn't exist now. Or
probably not, because people are now more forward with what they say and do. So they're quite upfront and they would defend themselves and, in a violent way in some cases. And other people would defend them as well. Yes. Yeah, I'm sure that would be the case. Omar says, I believe he was at 146 Grove Green Road back in 2005. So I'm just going to make a note next to Omar's name. Just a moment. Has binoculars.
I've been watching you with a telescope. Eh?
He was at the other end.
Do you know, I've really got a... I don't know if you can hear this chair squeaking. I keep meaning to oil it. This is quite an old chair I've got now. It's like one of those secretary's chairs.
I think you're talking about yourself. You just don't want to admit that it's you that needs oiling.
Omar's very amused by that. Did you have school dinners at school, did you?
Yes, but I was a vegetarian at the age of 5.
Oh, in the 60s? Or early 70s?
I never liked meat.
Wow.
I mean, coming from a West Indian family, I mean, meat is the most important meal of the... But I hated it. I hated it. My brothers and sisters loved me for that because they said, "Oh, meat, we'll have it."
When I was in Barbados with my friend, we had. I used to love that because I was eating dead animals in those days, and they used to do this chicken. Oh my God, it was just so nice the way they cooked it, and you can't repeat it here, unless you go to a West Indian person's house. It's a bit like me trying to cook curry. I mean, I've tried 3 times. Absolute disaster. Stinks. It stinks at the worst smell ever. And I knew I'd done something. And this happened 3 times. And when you go past a proper Indian restaurant, the beautiful smell that comes out, because they know exactly what they're doing.
Yeah. But just saying about the cooking, my mother learnt how to cook when she came over here. She never had to cook anything because she had maids and servants in Jamaica to look after the children that she had. So cooking, she learnt how to cook here. So she wasn't really a big West Indian cook. She knew how to do some things, but she didn't know how to cook like most of the West Indian people cooked. Yeah.
I had one of those things in, where was it I went? Mablethorpe up in Lincolnshire a few months ago. It's like a pasty, but it's Jamaican pasty. Is that right?
Patty.
Is it Jamaican patty? Okay, yes, that sounds about right. Yeah. And they did a vegetarian one, and they were 2 Jamaicans, young lad Jamaican type people, right? And they cooked this. Oh, it was delicious. It's the spices, you see. They know what they're doing.
Pepper.
They know what they're doing. Pepper. I should have gone in an Indian restaurant and had a vegetarian meal in there and asked, "Can you tell me what's in this, please?" But they probably wouldn't tell. It'd be like one of Colonel Sanders' secrets, like he's got his secrets in it. They probably got their secret family recipes of these different spices and things.
There's no secret. The thing with West Indian cooking, I mean, we can never cook from a cookbook because we don't measure anything. We just throw it in there.
Yeah.
Most West Indian families or people who cook food, they never know how to measure anything. I've asked my mother, well, how much of that did you put in there? She said, oh, you just throw it in. And I say, okay.
I think this has been the trouble with my weight, you see. I just see chips. I don't measure them. I just throw them in my mouth constantly until I can't throw any more in.
You throw the whole packet into the oven. I know what you're like. You're terrible.
All those cheese and onion crisps. But what about the school meals? Did you have school meals?
Yes, I mean, it consists of, obviously, spotty dick and custard. What's that thing? It wasn't a shepherd's pie, some sort of meat
cottage pie?
Possibly with a pastry thing on the top. I didn't know. That used to be pushed to one side. It was very, yes, basic food, as I call it.
But it was nice. Where I went to school, at London Oratory in Fulham, it was all cooked on site. And we had this West African lady who she used to serve the food. And she just seemed to hate everyone except me. Now, I got on really well with her. Her name was Vera. Oh. And the kids would come up to her and they didn't like her and she didn't like them. And I say, are there any seconds, miss? There are no seconds, lovey. And she'd pick up this food and just chuck it into the bin. And then she'd say, Chris, because I'd sit near her, because I got on with Chris. Yeah, yes, miss. Chris, do you want some more of this? I used to get another plate for the stuff. All the other kids hated me. And then I always remember, you know that like tray of like mincemeat. Did you have that?
Yeah.
Big tray of mincemeat. These kids would go, Miss, what's that, please? It's love. SHT. It's love. She'd go. And I'd just look at them. They were horrified.
I tell you what, the most interesting thing, it was a girls' school, because I was there for 3 years in girls' school. And each time, lunchtime, I mean, obviously we had what we call dinner tickets. Most people wouldn't know what that is, but I know you probably do. And we had to take it in turns. Like the first years would go up for their food first, and then the third years, and then the second years. So if you were the last lot, if you were in the third year, you know you're going to get scraps because there'll be nothing left.
Right.
So half of us would get nothing.
Is that right?
Yes, and we would try and jump the queue, but the teacher would say, wait, first year's first, you third years, you have to wait. And you think, well, there's no food, miss. They're going to eat all the food. And they did. The first years was little tiny people, but ate a lot of food.
They nicked all your food. Oh, well, what a shame.
Because then, we have to queue up, and if you don't get, if they call the second years, and then it will be the second year's first year, then the third year. Now and again, the third years will be first in the queue, but very rarely. I think they wanted to fatten them up before they got to the third year.
Omar says he loved the Tottenham cake back in the school day dinners. Did you have that? You know what that is? That's like a sponge with pink icing. You can get that in Greggs. They sell that in Greggs, you know. Oh, it's lovely.
I stayed away from the Tottenham cake because I'm an Arsenal fan, so I stayed away from the Tottenham cake.
Oh, the puddings were nice as well.
I thought I'd just throw that one in there.
Oh, the puddings.
You've only got 2 minutes left now, Chris.
1 minute 33 seconds, actually.
Oh, what can I do in 1 minute 33 seconds?
Well, I don't know. Tell me about one of your other puddings. Spotted Dick?
Spotted Dick. What's that? Swish jam, roly-poly.
Oh, God. And treacle tart with custard.
And semolina pudding.
Treacle
with
tart with
jam.
custard. Yeah.
Semolina and jam, yeah. And
We had
the
wonderful
occasional
dinners.
lumpy custard.
Well, I loved our school dinners at the secondary school. Not so much the primary school. And the paper, the mash coming out of that thing. And it was delicious. Delicious. Well, Vera, thank you very much for calling in tonight, my dear.
You're welcome. I enjoy your show.
And we look forward to hearing Vera's choice tomorrow morning.
Yay!
Thank you, Vera. Tell her love.
Take care. Bye.
Bye now. Vera calling in from Walthamstow in London. Oh, sorry, you shouldn't have heard that then. I got pushed the wrong button there. Anyway, that's it today for our little phone-in show. We've got one more next week. I do hope you'll be able to join me at midnight next Sunday night. Okay, I'll see you again tomorrow morning, just after the 9 o'clock news here at Reach On Air. And we've got Clive before me tomorrow morning between 7, or this morning rather, between 7 and 9. Enjoy the rest of your very early Monday morning. Thanks for listening.